Hi, I'm Jenny Clift, and in the spotlight today, I'm really excited to talk to Franciska Kosman, who's a singer, composer, a podcast host, and entrepreneur. Welcome, Franciska. It's great to see you here.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks so much.
Yay. So first, a quick bio, and then I will launch into some questions together. So Franciska is the founder of her company, K Productions, and she's a Jewish Orthodox artpreneur. She started her career as a singer and a composer and became an international artist and performer, and she's released over 60 singles. After that, she moved on to launch her company, K Productions, which offers a unique combination of services from content development to producing, marketing, and most importantly, ways to make an impact with a message worth sharing. She started her own podcast, The Franciska Show, to give voice specifically to the inspiring stories of Orthodox Jewish female artists and to create a space where it's safe to discuss topics which can be taboo. Traditionally, women's voices have been stifled, but modern technology has opened up new horizons for women to engage with their audiences in ways that were unheard of a decade ago. So, Franciska, let's start there. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your podcast, what inspired you to start it, and what's so special about it.
Thank you. This is one of my favorite topics to talk about on my podcast and how it got started. When I started it, I had no idea what a podcast was or how powerful it could be. I was simply a very frustrated singer-songwriter who put out music without an audience to match it online or in person. It was a very difficult and harsh space to be in as an Orthodox Jewish singer who's female. So the podcast became this platform for me to interview and start conversations with women in my space. As the years went by, I have pivoted several times, and now we are broadly focused on many different taboo conversations and topics that talk about all these different areas in our communities that are limited or unspoken about. And it led me not just from it took me from using my voice for singing to using my voice for advocating and talking about things that weren't talked about.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And, you know, I know the lyrics in your songs, you also talk, you have direct messages in them as well, but I love how you found different ways of sharing your message.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And I know that, you know, out of all the things you could have chosen to focus your business on, this one of helping other people to launch their own podcasts and share their own message is what's really dear to your heart right now. So do you want to tell us a bit about, you know, how that works and how you help others to do it?
Yeah, when I speak at career fairs in high schools or anything, I love telling young students that what I do now is I couldn't have imagined that I'd be doing this when I was in high school, which is so refreshing because what the message is, you don't have to figure out what you're doing. Sometimes if you lead and you follow where your skills or where you excel at, eventually the right path or the right opportunity will come to you, especially when we're in the world of internet tech and the future. And if you want to be on the cutting edge of stuff, sometimes you can't plan for it. You have to just embrace it, but work on your skills that are in your strength, in your area of strength. So it was very meaningful for me to really use all the different skills I've learned and taught myself over the years that included business, included music, the classical music end of it, as well as the production in studio work of being a recording artist and composer. And then, of course, all the communications and my interview/journalistic media self sort of was born after that, because I had this platform and all these different things working together, and it sort of evolved into this podcast. as podcasts were becoming a thing, self-hosted internet radio, who thought that would have existed in the early 2000s. So essentially, I feel like I'm at a unique place where I've learned all these different skills, and I'm able to teach other people how to bring all those different skills together. There's some performance anxiety that's included. There's some tech that's included. There is this communication / interviewing or content creation, depending on whether it's a solo host or a co-hosting type of podcast or a guest-based podcast. There's so many different types of podcasts. So there's a lot of creation ideas, as well as just newness and creativity that comes in together with tech and music or production and some cover art. So I brought all of this. I designed this beautiful package that really helps new podcasters, get everything they need in a very unique way, from someone like me who's really learned different sides of this business separately, as I was wearing all the different hats over the last 10-15 years.
Yeah. Wow. Gosh, I hadn't thought about all the different elements that are involved, and how perfectly it is that, you're able to bring in all your different skills and experience. And I know, because I've talked to you over the years, but I've also talked to lots of other artists, that, the finished product doesn't reflect, or not on the surface, all the agony, well, maybe that's too strong a word, but all the struggles that go into it. And I know that you understand that from yourself, but also from working with other people. And of course, that's my area as well, helping people with the inner work and getting over fears and doubts and all the rest of it. Do you want to speak to that a little bit? And I know you and I have worked together and done tapping together and other things. What are your thoughts on all of that?
Absolutely. And podcasts really relates this, because it's not a finished product like a book. You work on a book for several years, then it comes out, then you get to hear the feedback from the audience. With a podcast, very often, traditionally, you're getting feedback as you go, which makes you improve as you're going, or pivot, or whatever it is. So there's lots of inner work that has to happen, whether it's you really changing who you are, or being exposed to ideas and thoughts you haven't been exposed to, dealing with people who you're not used to dealing with. And one thing, being a podcast host or an activist, and all these different things that I implement together, which is part of why podcasting is such a powerful tool, because you could really create change. And I've seen it with my own two eyes, how that happens.
Yeah.
There's so much work that has to be done internally, and there's so much, it's like, you have to use social media to promote the podcast. Well, if you're using social media, you also have to consume social media to understand how it works. And you're seeing what everyone else is doing. There's this constant chase. So being in that online space, that is so overwhelmingly incredible, because it gives people like me an opportunity to create something, but also there's so many people out there who create business out of this. And there's just so much toxicity that comes with it as well, that there's a lot of self-growth that has to happen at the same time. And that's where the inner work here comes through, because you're literally fighting all the forces, so you can really carve out who you are.
Yeah.
You can be who you are. Yeah.
Yes. No, I think that's a really good point, that you kind of have to be, as you say, you have to be consuming it as well as, and becoming a part of it, but without letting you either affect you, emotionally, or your message. Sorry?
Or drag you down.
Or drag you down. Absolutely. Absolutely. So imagine I wanted to start a podcast, or someone who I was talking to wanted to. Tell us directly how you can help, because I know this is your you've been doing it, producing it or creating it this year, and working with different people. Tell us about your DIY podcast course.
Yeah, so originally it was a VIP launch day where I sat with my clients over several hours, and we did everything together. And then I've optimized that process and put it online into a beautiful course that anyone could buy it and take it in any time zone. They don't need me there all the time, but they have me, and they have all the resources and information, and they can rewatch those videos, whether they're focusing on the editing or they need some more time on their intros or whatever it is that they need. They can really take their time and work through the entire process. The goal that I have for my podcasters by the time they are done with the launch process is that they have everything they need so they could continue self-producing, whether it's themselves personally or somebody on their team, but they have all the information they need, that even if they do outsource the production or the marketing later on or right offhand, they know all the different tasks that are involved. So let's say somebody's pitching them, whatever it is, they know exactly what tasks are involved from zero to release to marketing. So they understand what it actually entails in the entire
process. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Very
We go a little bit into monetizing at the end and marketing as well as optimization. And then after they take the course, there are ways they can either get some one-on-one support with me if they want to troubleshoot anything or optimize, go a little deeper, or if they want content creation help.
Right.
So, yeah.
Fabulous. So how can people, first of all, get a hold of this, and also how can people hear your music? Because, you know, I've watched your videos and everything as well, and, you know, it's just so fascinating to see, and I love the kind of video productions you create and everything. So where can we find you online? Tell us, and I'll put links below, of course, but let us know as well.
So the DIY course is actually on my website, franciskakosman.com. It takes you straight to where you need to go. franciskakosman.com/podcast takes you to my podcast, as franciskamusic.com takes you to my music. But my podcast is available also on all the podcasting streaming apps, Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as my music is available on all of the music streaming apps, Apple, Google, Amazon, Spotify, and my website as well. And thank you. And I'm coming out with a new music video in a couple of weeks.
Yay. Okay. I'll share that when you get it.
Fighting addiction. So that's fantastic. Very exciting.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Franciska. It's really good to talk to you. I always love meeting with you and chatting and everything. And I've got a really good, much clearer understanding now of this whole podcast thing, because it was, so thank you so much for sharing all
Thank you, Jenny. I just want to thank you again so much for all the work we've done together, because there are lots of lows in this type of work. Podcasting is not just performing, but there's a lot of that performing and a lot of that being on stage or being dissected by your audience type of idea.
In the spotlight. Yeah.
Spotlight, there you go. And people like me definitely need a space where you can do this inner work, and it's been so transformative. So thank you. I just want to thank you on the record for being.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Fabulous. Well, great to see you again.
Thank you.